I'm Amy Anderson for the Option Rally News team. Let's take a look at the global market review of last week's events and highlights. Equity markets surge. Gold breaks $1,300. Crude oil over $100. And Campbell soup soars on winter temperatures. Let's take a quick look at what's happening in the global markets now. Wall Street closed out its best week of the year as investors focused on company earnings and brushed off another weak economic report. Campbell's soup climbed after reported earnings that beat the estimates. Campbell's rose 5% to 43.01 after the company reported that its second quarter profit and revenue came in above Wall Street's expectations. Campbell's soup also stood by its 2014 forecast for sales and earnings growth. The Standard & Poor's 500 wiped out almost all of its loss for the year after a big slump in January and are now just 10 points below its record close of 1848 reached January 15th. Stocks slumped last month because of concerns about the outlook for growth in China and other emerging markets and worries about the health of the U.S. economy. Equities got a lift on Tuesday when Janet Yellen, the new head of the Federal Reserve, said she would continue the central bank's low interest rate policies, and as Congress moved toward raising the U.S. borrowing limit without the political drama of last year. Wall Street started lower Friday following news that U.S. factory output fell sharply in January. Manufacturers made fewer cars, trucks, appliances, furniture, and carpeting as the recent cold spell ended 5 straight months of increased production. Better than expected European growth figures helped markets edge higher as investors cheered signs the region's recovery is finally gathering pace. The Eurozone posted GDP growth of 0.3% in the final quarter of 2013, compared with 0.1% in the previous 3-month period, and forecast for a rise of 0.2%. Germany's DAX closed 0.7% higher, while the CAC 40 in France lifted 0.6%, but there was a more lackluster response in London's FTSE 100 index despite hopes surrounding Britain's major trading partner, with the top tier finishing just 4.2 points higher at 63.6. The Eurozone figures show Germany's output rose 0.4% in the final quarter of 2013, following a boost for its exporters, while the French economy grew by 0.3% in the same period. In the foreign exchange markets, Eurozone growth numbers topped forecasts and helped push the euro to a nearly 3-week peak against the greenback, which slid for a second straight day on accumulating worries about U.S. economic growth. U.S. retail sales and unemployment missed expectations. The dollar index slid to a low of 80.065, its 2014 bottom so far, and was last at 80.199, down 0.16%. The UK pound rose to its highest in over 5 years. The pound was up 0.5% against the dollar at 1.6739. The dollar was down 0.28% against the yen at 101.87 yen, and off 0.2% against the Swiss franc at 0.8918 francs to the dollar. U.S. economic data has been dampened by a rough North American winter, disappointing many investors, pulling back on dollar investments. Record storms and cold have kept the U.S. frozen since the first of the year. The Australian dollar was in focus after it dropped 1 full U.S. cent on Thursday after the release of surprising poor labor data. It rebounded on Friday by 0.6% to 0.9033, helped by data showing China's consumer prices rose 2.5% in January. On the commodities front, a weaker dollar boosted the metals markets, lifting copper and sending gold prices to a 3-month high above $1,300 an ounce. Gold saw its biggest weekly gain in 6 months as weak manufacturing output pressured the greenback and boosted gold's appeal as a currency hedge. Silver hit its highest since November and ended the day up 4.3% at $21.32 an ounce. Cold winter weather in the U.S. Northeast and supply disruptions in producers Libya and Angola lifted Brent crude, but Friday's weak manufacturing data weighed on U.S. crude. U.S. crude settled 5 cents lower at 100.30 a barrel, though it ended higher on the week for the 5th week in a row. Natural gas prices zigzagged through the session, but jumped 9% this week as cold weather plagued regions of the United States and stored gas supplies rapidly dwindled. Natural gas futures on the New York Mercantile Exchange fell less than a penny, settling at 5.214. This is Amy Anderson from Option Rally signing off. Follow me on Facebook and watch for our new financial terms of the day and our weekly event news. Have a great week.